Well, on Tuesday it's going to be the Feast of the Annunciation, which celebrates perhaps the greatest miracle of all time, the impregnation of the Virgin Mary by God, resulting in the birth of Jesus 9 months later. On a more humble level, some Christians today claim to have witnessed miraculous events, believing people have been cured of physical or mental illness through the laying on of hands or the simple power of prayer. We have people here with us in Southampton who say they've witnessed events like this. Can illness be cured by prayer? I'm going to come to this side. We were speaking earlier on, Jeff, isn't it? Yes. Jeff, the microphone to Jeff. You've seen this, haven't you?
Yes, I have, yes. We believe in spiritualism that healing is brought through the forces and the energies from the spirit world.
What have you seen?
Channeled through the healer. I have seen a young gentleman who came from Australia. He was originally born in Bournemouth, moved with his family to Australia, came back some years later. He was about 23, came into our church for healing, which we do 5 days a week, and he looked horrendous. I can only say that, you know, when you look at somebody and you know there's no colour in their face, they almost look like they're coming to the end of their lives. His hair was just drab, no colour, no shine.
What was the diagnosis?
The guy had cancer. Yeah. And he had been sent from the hospital by one of the cancer surgeons to our church because they said there was very little, if anything, they could do for him. So you
prayed?
So, yes, we always pray before any session. Yeah. However, he came to one of our healers regularly, once a week, and he reported back to the church on a monthly basis. As he reported back to his doctor in Bournemouth Hospital, each time he went back, each month, they said to him that the cancer was receding. Wow. And the cancer was receding. Now, we truly believe that we can work hand in hand with the medical profession.
Wow. Hand in hand, together.
That only spiritual healing healed him. It was a great asset to him and a great help to him. Now, by the time...
Why is it, it's cancer, why is it never, people always ask this, but it's a fair question, why is it never amputees?
Why is it, sorry?
Well, amputees. Can you cure amputees as well?
No, we can't.
Cancer's pretty impressive, that's true.
Build another leg on, you mean, or what? No, not really, I don't think. No?
But are you making an incredible claim? And then
well,
saying,
I can only tell you...
Only so far?
Yes, I can only tell you what the young gentleman did after about 9 months, and I'm not saying it happened overnight, it didn't. After 9 months, he looked so healthy, he was told the cancer had left his body, and he was cured.
Francis, prayer.
I believe in prayer, but I've never met a squaddie who's come back from Afghanistan and had their leg put back. And I think we need to be very careful, not turn God into a magician or spiritual forces into a magic trick game.
You use the power of prayer. I mean, your church group is actually working with a leading NHS trust together to use the power of prayer in so much you'll give people a feeling of well-being and peace, and that may help their convalescence. And indeed getting well.
Leeds University, we have a joint research project with them, and it's in relation to one aspect of healing, which is about listening to people. It's about hearing their story and allowing them to both understand it and authentically live it. In answer to the question, can prayer cure illnesses? The answer is yes, but not always. And I think the truth is, I mean, I've prayed for people personally.
And it's worked?
Yes, and people have been healed. I've also buried, as a church leader, too many of my friends who were dead, but I have buried too many friends because, you know...
That's a relief.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. You know, obviously it doesn't pay to bury people.
I would pray for them.
Yes.
But listen, when it doesn't work, why doesn't it work?
Do you know, if I could answer that question, I've written a book and be quite wealthy, and then I could be taxed. But I think one of the issues, it really isn't a magic bullet. It's not a magic thing that you can say, if you do this, this and this, you're going to end up with that. I think the way that human people work and the way you're built, body, mind and spirit, it's an integrated thing. Yes. And I think the difficulty for us is...
So they have to believe?
No. I mean, Jesus healed people who were not engaged.
As it says in the Bible, just to remember, he made the blind to see, he made the lame to walk, he made the deaf to hear. Is that all possible with prayer? Are you doing Jesus' work in a sense?
Yes, I think we are, and I think that's what every Christian should be doing. We should be carrying on what Jesus began. I think he had a slight advantage in the, you know, as the Son of God, that was a little bit of a help. But I think one of the key issues for us is that, you know, if we never start... I mean, say, for instance, I pray for 10 people, and 2 of them are healed, and 8 of them are left with a sense of wholeness and well-being. Is that not a good starting point?
Kevin, is that not a good starting point?
It's a great starting point. And I pray quite often. I pray to traffic lights to stay green when I'm driving down the road into Southampton. I pray to BMW drivers to behave themselves just for a few minutes while I'm driving down the road. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. There's actually, in this question, there's 2 elements to this question. I think we need to split them out, because there's a question, can prayer cure illness? Inherent in that is, can prayer cause God to cure illness?
To intervene.
Let's take those 2 things separately. God doesn't exist. There is no God. There's no fairy being in the sky. But prayer exists.
People over there were hissing you.
Prayer exists, and prayer is a placebo. Prayer as a placebo can work very, very well.
Because you feel better.
And I'm a psychotherapist. In my psychotherapy work, what I'm doing some of the time is placebo. It works very well. I'm persuading people that they feel better, and then at the end of it, they say, I feel better.
But can I say,
Elaine,
certainly within our belief
you're Spiritualist National Union as well,
Yes.
and you don't heal yourself, but you train healers, do you?
in our churches, all healers have to be trained to
It's
become
quite rigorous,
approved.
isn't it?
It's a very rigorous training, and Jeff is an approved healer who's gone through a series of training.
What are you training? Is it being a transmitter, or what is the training?
In a way, to be a transmitter and a receiver of the energy that we believe comes from infinite intelligence, which we choose to call God. Now, what I wanted to say to you is, healing and prayer may not always heal, but they may heal the person who is transcending from one dimensional existence to another, in the sense they ease their pain, their distress, their anxiety. You could call that a placebo. I am also a registered nurse, and I pray for my patients every day.
You're a registered nurse?
Yes,
it's not
I'm
NHS?
No, I'm within industry, but I pray for my patients every day.
You're a qualified nurse,
physical,
right?
Yes.
Some people may say that's like going to the dentist and he's got a voodoo doll or something like that.
No. If we believe that there is a force in the universe, an energy, we can transmit that energy by thought, by prayer, or by physical action.
There's an excellent book written in the late 1960s called Persuasion and Healing by an American psychotherapist, Jerome Frank, in which he voices that view that persuasion is the key bit in healing, and persuasion can heal. He's not talking about God, he's not talking about religion.
If it works, it works.
He's not talking about prayer. He's just saying that people have the ability, if they believe they can heal themselves or be healed,
so
it can help.
So it's a useful
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
It's interesting that it tends to be, when religious people get alongside this, it tends to be the self-limiting illnesses that they seem to be able to cure rather than other things.
No,
people do spontaneously recover from cancer.
I don't think we'd call cancer self-limiting.
Cancers do go into remission.
Ian, you had, what was it you had? You had chronic...
Okay,
chronic, let me address it. It's chronic...
Okay, it was chronic sarcoidosis.
And it was cured?
No, okay, it was a disease of the lungs. It was a prolonged disease. It wasn't psychosomatic. Okay, I am not really meant to be here now. Okay, and basically someone prayed for me.
And it went away?
Okay, it didn't only go away, but they cannot even find a trace of it in my blood system.
We spoke to that's amazing.
It was a miracle. Okay, not a healing.
A miracle. We spoke to a doctor who said that it can just go away.
Okay.
But yours went away because of something else.
Okay, but basically, if you Google it, okay, there's a 10% where it doesn't go away. It is basically incurable and irreversible, and the scarring on the lungs cannot just disappear. Okay, in that sense. And basically, I just want to add one little thing. Okay, I believe that it is proof that Jesus is real and Jesus is alive.
Right, Francis. Is the Jesus that you pray to an interventionist? This is the whole point. Does he intervene in people's lives?
But I think he does it in ways that some things are so coincidental that they can't possibly be coincidental, rather than sending laser beam kind of things. And I think there's also a kind of a very real pastoral danger.
What do you mean by coincidental?
Well, so I mean, I was on top.
But if there were no coincidences, that would be the most monumental coincidence.
I was once on top of the hill above a CC and had this overwhelming need to pray for a friend of mine who lives in a hermitage in Liverpool that I'd not thought about for 5 years. I came down the hill, I sent him a card because I was so bothered about him, and it turned out that day his boss had come to see him and said, I'm going to sack you in the middle of the wood. And I'd been in a wood, and it's just so coincidental. I'd say that can't be coincidental. Right. But I think pastorally, there's something much more significant here, which is no matter how much training you've got, if you're not a qualified psychiatrist, you don't want to be playing with religious symbols and language with someone with a severe mental health challenge, because you have no idea what you might be getting into.
That's That's always the case, isn't it? And that is true actually in any area of life, whether you're a Christian or not, about mental illness. And actually, we're not actually talking about that. We're talking about, is it possible for the ministry of Jesus to continue through an ordinary Christian who has integrity and has compassion? And I think...
You've been healed yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
What did you have?
I had really bad back pain for quite a few months.
Voltarol?
Anything. I'm an ibuprofen man.
Did you take drugs as well?
Yeah, no. But I took ibuprofen for it, but...
Didn't work?
Well, it goes, but it's still there. So I'd wake up and think, ow, that really hurts. I was in Hong Kong. A young man came and at a Christian meeting, asked if he could pray. As he prayed, and I wasn't aware that he touched my back, I felt a heat, like an electricity in the base of my spine that shut up my spine.
A lot of people say that.
And I haven't had it since. Now, you want to say, if that was a coincidence, fine, then let me have another one. I think the issue for me is, I think it's not unreasonable to believe, and I accept Kevin's premise, that if there is a God, and some of us will believe there is, then he is an interventionist, because at the heart of the miracle genre is not power, it's compassion. Yeah. And Jesus is revealed as the one who has compassion.
Love and power and compassion. Hayley, tell us your story, because you don't approve of this. You think it's potentially dangerous.
I was going to say, I've also been cured myself, but it was by evidence-based medicine. A while ago, I was walking through the city of Bath, and I came upon some faith healers who were handing out literature that said they could cure everything from cancer to AIDS to asthma, MS, crippling disease, broken bones, you name it, it was on the list. And I sent this off to the Advertising Standards Authority because I felt it was misleading and potentially dangerous. This group of people didn't know who they were coming into contact with, and a lot of people would have a mistrust of their doctors, and I was worried that it could turn people away from conventional treatment. And the ASA agreed and said they could no longer make the claims they were making on the leaflet. And I'm glad they agreed, because I think it is potentially dangerous.
Yes.